welcome to my channel. Normally I talk about all things bookish and writing, but today I just need to go on a rant. I have been rewatching the trash that is Love is Blind before season 4 drops. It's a guilty pleasure of mine, and I'm aware it's a flaming dumpster fire. I don't care. I'm still gonna watch it. But rewatching all the seasons really points out the stark differences between the first 2 seasons and season 3. Season 3 is awful. Truly, truly awful. Most of it has to do with the cast, but there were some interesting editing choices, especially in the After the Altar episodes, that kind of gave me second-degree embarrassment. And also, what was the point of the After the Altar? I do not care about Alexa's party. I do not care about her and her shitty husband. I don't need to see this group of bullies gang up on someone. The scenes of the girls at lunch talking about the party made me want to not be a woman if this is our representation. They were catty and self-righteous and just the epitome of mean girls. Where is Janice Ian when I need her? While I could probably talk for an hour straight about how god-awful this last season was, I'm just going to focus on the important part of the rant, the cast. Because, my god, these people both simultaneously make me want to die and make me happy that I'm a relatively normal person. So I'm going to put them in order of least toxic to the most. So starting off with Colleen. Is Colleen perfect? Hell no, but she is better than the rest of them. My biggest gripe with Colleen is her desperation. Not as severe as Nancy's, but Colleen, sweetie, you are a gorgeous, sweet, bubbly girl. What the hell are you doing with Matt? You did not have to settle. I'm sorry things did not work out with Brennan, which you kind of got lucky, girl. And I'm sorry things didn't work out with Cole. But I think that was the saddest part of rewatching this. I think Cole and Colleen would have been a really cute couple. And I think had Colleen been able to verbalize better what she meant by not going deep, they could have made it work. They had the same energy level, the same giddiness about life, and just having fun. I could totally see Colleen taking Cole on with the Nerf guns while they're cooking, or the worst she would do is scream and run away laughing. But you did not have to settle for Mr. 0 to 60 in the rage department. It's kind of sad that the shallow comment got skewed or misinterpreted, whatever happened there. Otherwise, we might have had not another Lauren and Cameron because no one will ever be them, but at least another couple that we could really root for on the show. We would understand why they're together and why they were able to make this experiment work. Though, to be perfectly honest, Colleen kind of is a bit shallow. She went on all of her dates telling them that she's a ballet dancer, just so that they would have some image of her physicality in mind. She sees her body and her beauty as her best feature, or at least that's how I interpret it, and uses it to lure men without really understanding the premise of the show to get to know people on a deep level and bypass their looks. It makes me wonder if Colleen has always been praised for her beauty and dancing skills, and so that's the only part of her identity that she is really sure about and kind of has to cling to. Why wouldn't every man want to stay with the hot ballet dancer forever? Because some people feel like Belle in Beauty and the Beast and realize that there must be more out there. So next up on the list is Cole. Oh, Cole. Do I think Cole speaks without thinking? I sure do. Do I think Cole is a heinous person? I do not. I think Cole is hyperactive, a bit immature, and just says what's on his mind without thinking about it. Should he work on that? Yes. But I do not think Cole went into this wanting to hurt someone like Zay did, and we will talk about her later. Cole definitely has some work to do when it comes to improving his communication skills and not speaking out inappropriately, but I do think he was genuine. He kind of bumbles and fumbles his way through conversations, but he's not coming at it with the intent to hurt. He wanted to find a woman he could spend the rest of his life with. He wanted to find love. He should not have hit on Colleen after seeing her. That was bad. Not okay, Cole. But I truly do not see him as the villain that the rest of the cast is doing their damnedest to make the narrative of the season. He's not a villain. To me, he's honestly like a puppy dog that woke up one day and realized he was human, can't filter his thoughts, and doesn't read social cues well. Cole is not perfect, but he's not the scum of the earth that Zay wants people to see him as. Next up, Nancy. Nancy kind of just makes me sad. She was so cute and bubbly at the beginning, and I really liked her. But now I just feel sad when I see her. Have some self-respect, Nance. You do not need validation from a Muppet. Stop chasing love from terrible people. You deserve better. I think Nancy is a good person. She's smart, she's funny, and has an attractive personality. And she's also gorgeous. But I think like Zay, she's been rejected in the past and just wants to have someone. It's like the people who make wedding Pinterest boards before they're engaged or in a relationship and just feel like they can slot in whatever partner. It's not about them together or finding the right man. It's just finding a man. I could not stand watching her continue to follow Ernie around after the show ended. It felt like she was hoping that if she just stuck around long enough, he'd realize what he'd lost and come running back, especially after dyeing her hair blonde so she'd be more his type. Let it go. He is not worth the effort. Have some dignity and move on. Find someone who truly loves you for all that you are. So next up, Raven. Raven is kind of hard to rate. She keeps her emotions close to her chest and comes off as this somewhat even-keeled person. But re-watching the show before the reunion and the after the altar, she does have some issues. Like when she and SK are talking about him going back to school, and she's all, I expect you to pay for this apartment too, even though you won't be living here. I kind of wonder if she was a sugar baby in the past and grew accustomed to a higher standard of living than she can afford, but didn't want people finding out. There was that whole scene where she was dancing around the subject of working at a club or bar or whatever. Like, girl, no one cares. I think it was code given how weird she was about working in the service industry. I liked her better as the season went on and seeing her grow and mature a bit, but there were still some things that rubbed me the wrong way. Though I do applaud her for sticking to her guns and trying to merge their cultures, but also asking for what she needs from her partner and their wedding. Alright, next up, SK. I know he's a liar and a cheater, but in terms of just being the most terrible of this cast, this is where he falls in my lineup. I think there are castmates that are way worse than him. He was able to fool people for a long time, and he should have been held accountable for his bad behavior, and he still should to this day. But again, I think there are characters that are worse than him, but he definitely did drop in my rating just because of everything that came out after the altar. So next up on the list is Alexa. I don't have that much to say about Alexa besides the fact that she's a mean girl. At least she kind of owns it. Like, I think she knows she's kind of a bitch and has made her peace with it. And in a way, I can kind of respect that. She could be better, for sure. And I think she's a bad influence on Brennan. But in my opinion, he's kind of worse than she is. She wants to be Regina George, not realizing that Regina was not the protagonist of the story. Next up, Brennan. I actually liked Brennan at first. He seemed like a humble man who knows what it's like to work for what you have. But yikes, you fooled me, Brennan. You're a dick. I noticed you only call out Cole for his use of the word crazy during the reunion, but then other used it too, and you were pretty silent. So why do you hate Cole? What did he do to you? There's supporting your wife and her friends, and then there's this whole level that's just asinine. Like Zay, I kind of wonder if you're projecting on Cole. Like, maybe you were made fun of as a kid by people like Cole, and you're now taking your revenge by tearing him down, thinking that the internet is on your side. It just makes you look like a bully. You think you're so amazing and above everybody else now that you're married, but that means nothing. No one cares. You're not better than your castmates just because you're legally bound to Alexa. I was rooting for the two of you at the beginning, but now I can at least take solace in the fact that you two deserve each other, so go be horrible together. So, Matt. Matt terrified me. I mean, really. Watching that scene where he's yelling at Colleen for even just talking to Cole at the pool party made me feel sick to my stomach. He reminded me of an ex I had who scared me on many occasions. His ability to just sit there and eat his dinner while looking like he could snap a baby bird's neck is terrifying. Colleen is crying, and he is intimidating her. He's telling her she's terrible, and then he turns around and tells Zay how pretty she is. Like, excuse me, Matt, hold yourself accountable to the same standards, especially since Colleen was not flirting with Cole. She was trying to be nice. Matt has some serious issues that he needs to be working through. He has no right to have gone on this show and bring another woman into a toxic relationship with him. I would actually love to hear from his ex-wife about what really went down. Like, did she cheat just to get away from him and have the safety of another man to back her up? Because Matt is truly scary. I am scared for Colleen. I hope she's okay, and I hope he can go to anger management every single day. Because besides his drinking, his running away at every opportunity, and his simmering anger, I do not think he could be a fine person. Besides that, I think he could be a fine person. But yikes, my dude. Colleen has every right in the after the altar to tell him how much he can drink, even though that's really sad that she has to be in that position. He needs to recognize his own problems and recognize that it makes her uncomfortable and adjust his behaviors, or maybe even just become sober. Next up, Bartise. Barstool is a shitty person. That's just what it boils down to. He's completely self-absorbed and way too cocky. You are not the end-all be-all of attractiveness, barf bag. There's no humility there. He thinks he's the most amazing man ever, and every woman wants to jump him. I would rather beat him with a stick. I hate how he got no pushback from everyone for his bad behavior. Everyone bullied Cole for his actions, but Barndor told Nancy basically that she's a 0 compared to Raven being a 10, and no one said that was a terrible thing to say. Like, at least Cole rated Zay a 9 or whatever. I wanted to reach into my TV and slap him across the face when he threw Nancy under the bus when meeting his family. Like, how dare you? I knew what he was doing. He was doing everything in his power to have backing when it came time to break up with her, even though he kept trying to push her away so she would dump him, making him seem like the good guy and, oh, she just left me. But fuck you, Robert. You do not bring up topics like abortion with your family when they feel that strongly about it. It's not their business. If you and Nancy were going to have kids, that is between you. You do not throw her to the wolves. Especially given his feelings about the topic. He said it was okay to have an abortion or two when you're young and make a mistake, but then it's not? How is that better? How is it better to have an oops and get an abortion, but not okay to abort when Nancy is trying to do what's best for everyone and not bring a child into the world who might have a very rough life, when she can save herself and the baby from that pain? Someone please neuter Barstool. His genes do not need to be put back in the gene pool. And finally, Zeneb. Zeneb is the worst. I feel for her. I do. Losing her parents at a young age is awful, and something that no one should ever have to go through. That is unfathomable, and a horrible thing for her to have gone through. That said, she also needs to take responsibility and accountability for her actions as an adult. She had absolutely no self-esteem before she met Cole, so for her to blame him for her problems is unfair. She is the problem. She is insecure in herself and projects that onto other people. It's their job to fix her. She shouldn't have to put in the effort into liking herself. Other people just need to realize she's the best thing ever and worship her. My theory, which is all my own opinion, is that Zeneb did not love Cole at all. She picked him because he represented all the guys that have rejected her in the past. She is angry at men like him. She mentioned how she doesn't get hit on at work, which is also sad, Zay. You should not expect to get hit on at work. People are treating you like a professional, just doing your job. Your self-esteem is so wrapped up in validation from men when it should come from within. I truly think that she picked Cole so she could prove to all the boys who rejected her in the past what they were missing, because, as she puts it, she is a catch of the century. Which, sure, you're a catch. But not all things you can catch are good. You can catch diseases, and that's kind of what you seem to be, Zay. You say Cole broke you, but you broke him. You spread your anger into him and let it fester, because misery loves company, and you are miserable. I think you wanted to humiliate him. You wanted to make him feel as bad as all those boys before him did to you. He is just a symbol at this point. He's a representation of all the cool popular kids who did not like you back, so you wanted to hurt him. You wanted to show the world that you are better than the men who rejected you. But they're not rejecting you because you're not attractive. You are. They're rejecting you because of who you are. The sad thing is that she places so much value on outward appearances, and she's a pretty woman. But she's just kind of ugly on the inside. She treated Cole horribly. Like I said at the beginning, sure, Cole said some dumb things and has no filter and says inappropriate things. He definitely needs to work on that. But I think he just spoke out of ignorance, whereas she spoke with malicious intent. She can repeat that she didn't know what she was going to say at the altar until she is blue in the face, but I don't buy it. She did not speak that well during the entire show, so for her to spout off that speech about him was completely calculated and memorized before she got to the altar. She thought she was making some grand point, but really, she just showed her ass. She can't even keep her lies straight, as she says she would choose him over and over again if she could redo the show. Why? It doesn't make sense. You say he's not a bad guy, but he was just a bad guy to you, but you would still pick him over and over again. You would go after him. Like, that doesn't add up, you dumbass. Either he's a bad guy and we'd all see it, or he just wasn't right, and he just wasn't right for you, but you cannot take any accountability for your hand in this failing. I find it so interesting how she said she loved him and would just break into song or talked about his silly things while they were in the pods, as she wanted someone not as serious as her. But then she kind of punishes him for being himself out of the pods. Like in the controversial cutie scene, she tells him she doesn't listen to him or is annoyed by his mannerisms. You knew this. You said you liked it. Can you change your mind? Of course. But then at least tell him what's up or like what's bugging you. I think Zay has a long road ahead of her for discovering self-love and acceptance and learning not to project and paint herself as the victim in every situation. I do hope she finds someone who loves her, but she really needs to learn to love herself first, and not in the fake way she did during the show. Whew! Season 3 really was a wild and sometimes boring ride. Rewatching this season was tough. I'm glad to see the friendships that came from this season, but I also think we do a disservice when we don't hold our friends accountable for their bad behavior, no matter their gender. I can only go into Season 4 blind and hope for the best. Thanks for watching.